guys, welcome back to Take a Babe, and today I'm talking about the Solo trailer. So what do you think of my new intro? I decided to change it up and do something a bit more kind of original and a bit more me. So I'm probably going to stick with it because I really like it. I love that crazy bassy sound as that explosion, you know, zoom, happens. I really like it. So I'm going to continue on with that in all my videos. So comment below and tell me what you think of it. So this week, originally, I didn't know what I was going to bring you, and I thought I was going to do an art video because it's been a while since I've sat down and sketched anything, and I thought, you know what, I'll do an art video this week. But then, this happened.
What's that?
And so, of course, I have to do a trailer breakdown. So up until now, I've kind of avoided talking about the Solo movie because I really kind of didn't have much faith in it. And when we heard, you know, about Miller and Lord and the whole fiasco that went on with them, and then they got fired, and then in came Ron Howard and took over, and it all seemed to move so fast. So, you know, we heard about the movie starting filming out in Pinewood in the UK, and then all of a sudden Ron Howard came in, and then there seemed to only be, it felt like it was only like 2 weeks he was working on the movie, and all of a sudden it was a wrap and it was done. And I thought, wow, that was really fast, and that makes me feel a little bit edgy about the whole thing. And then when Woody Harrelson was interviewed, he said that this was probably the funniest Star Wars movie ever made, and that freaked me out even more because while I love a bit of humour in a Star Wars movie and I love, you know, to laugh, I don't want it to be a comedy. Because Han Solo, while he was funny in places, he was a pretty serious character, a serious role, and I don't kind of want them to turn it into a Jim Carrey kind of thing. That's the best way I can describe it, I don't know. So that kind of made me very nervous, and so I kind of avoided it up till now. And I was just kind of waiting for a trailer. And of course we got a trailer during the Super Bowl. There were two trailers. We had a short teaser one, and then a full trailer came out, an international trailer that showed us a little bit more. And I'm a little more excited now after seeing the trailer. There's things in it that I kind of really like, and I thought, oh wow, actually this looks like it's going to be really fun. I think this is going to be the first Star Wars movie where you just go for a big adventure, a big action adventure for like 2 hours, and don't take it too seriously, just have fun with it. I don't think it's going to be terribly complicated, and I think already there's a lot of videos out there where they're desperately trying to analyze this trailer and make it look like it's, you know, it's deep in history and you know, all these theories, and I really don't think it is. I think this is just going to be like a comic strip movie where it's going to be a lot of fun. I love these posters that came out for the film. I think they say a lot about the kind of movie that we're going to get. They kind of remind me of old Western posters or Mexican style Western movie posters, or you'd expect to see them, because they're slightly weathered around the edges, you'd expect to see them kind of slapped on the wall of a saloon with "Wanted" written over them. So clearly the characters in this that are featured in the posters, which is Chewie, Lando, Han, Kira, I don't know if it's Kira or I think it's Kira, in these posters indicates that they are a bunch of outlaws, and I love the idea of that. I think this is going to be like a whole, because I mean they did actually refer over the years to Han as kind of the space cowboy, so I think this is the Western of Star Wars, and it's going to be really action-packed and crazy and fun, and have, you know, just take us on a ride where we can just be like kids and just enjoy it and don't think too much about it. And so I didn't. When I watched the trailer, I just took it at face value at what we were seeing. So I didn't try to read into it too much because I really don't think that that's the intention. So we see it opening up with Han saying that he's been running scams since he was 10 years old, which I kind of thought he was a little inspired by The Artful Dodger, so from Oliver, and that possibly the character that Woody Harrelson's playing, Beckett, is kind of the Fagin in this story, and kind of took Han under his wing, and Lando and Kira, when they were very young, and made them kind of space smart instead of street smart, so space smart. And so he runs scams and does a lot of smuggling and deals, and this, you know, he brings them in with him a lot from the time they were children. And I think that very first scene, which looks like it's supposed to be the Kessel Run, which is Han and Qi'ra in that speeder that has the big red kind of taillights and everything, looks really rustic and raw. I'm speeding along, and I was wondering, is that supposed to be the spice mines of Kessel? Which it could be, but then I was thinking it could be early on, the younger years, when they kind of hung out together as kids and were running scams. And what I really loved in that scene, and if you look very carefully, you can actually see Han's golden dice hanging from, I don't know whether it's a visor or what it was, in between the two of them. It's swinging in between the two of them. So that would explain why there was so much emphasis on it in The Last Jedi, and they showed Luke handing it over to Leia, because it's obviously Han's keepsake, or his good luck charm, like someone would have a rabbit's foot. I don't know why people do that. And would carry it with him all the time, and so it was being passed on to Leia to bring his spirit and his energy to her, and maybe the dice would bring her some luck because it had brought him some luck. How? I think that's the dice that won him the Millennium Falcon with Lando. The other thing I love about this trailer was when we got to see the inside of the Falcon, and it's so super pristine and clean and beautiful and shiny and new. And when I thought about it, I know some people are going crazy because they're saying, oh, they're changing the Millennium Falcon again. But, you know, I don't think it's that they're, you know, changing it because a lot of people think because they want to make, Disney want to make sales with new toys and blah blah blah. But I mean, that's going to happen anyway, even if they did it with the old Falcon. That people are still going to buy the stuff that's branded for Solo, a Star Wars story. But I think that by the time we've seen the Falcon, it's supposed to have been around for many years, and they always refer to it as a heap of junk. You know, Leia is like, you came here to get me in that. So I think that it's had parts fall off and bits of metal added on, and even the radar, the satellite dish that's on the outside has been readjusted. So I think a lot of what we see is not supposed to be the original Falcon. It's what kind of has been banged up together to keep it in one piece over the years. So we're getting the Falcon as it looked when it was kept absolutely beautiful at the very beginning. And why wouldn't it look squeaky clean? It belonged to Lando Calrissian, and when we look at Lando, Lando is quite a pristine kind of character with his beautiful blue capes and his hair perfect, and everything about him is actually quite perfect. So why wouldn't the Falcon be perfect? And I've heard that they're basing the Falcon on some original sketches by Ralph McQuarrie, which got me excited because I really love Ralph McQuarrie's work. And so they're basing on that, which means it is going to look really kind of streamlined and clean and kind of white, with sections of blue on it. And I really can't wait to see it in action, as it was intended at the very beginning when it had nothing wrong with it. So I'm thinking things like when they go into light speed, it's not going to break down like it always did, and you know, poor Han would just lose his mind when it would break down just as they were about to hit light speed. I think in this movie it's going to have no problem hitting light speed every single time. So that's going to be really awesome. I'm dying to see how he won it from Lando. I'm assuming in some card game or, you know, gambling, but it'll be really interesting to see how he wins it, and it'll be also interesting to see how Lando reacts when he loses the Falcon to Han. Also in this trailer we got to see Thandie Newton for the first time. A lot of people believed at first that maybe she was voicing a droid, but we now know that she is not, because they showed her in the trailer, and I have to say she looks like a total badass, because she has this, this is another thing I love about the look of this film, is they seem to have kept it kind of in style with the original trilogy. So there's a slight 70s look about Han and about Qi'ra, and especially with Val, Thandie Newton's character, and Lando Calrissian. People always say he looks like a space pimp, Lando. He looks really cool. Donald Glover, I think, is going to really do a great job on this. But Thandie, when I saw her, I thought, oh my gosh, she looks like such a badass. And she's kind of wearing a leathery type jacket. I think it has a little fur trim on the neck, and she has this crazy looking weapon in her hands. And it just reminded me of Foxy Brown. And I thought, she's a real street smart badass, and she gonna kick your ass if you put one foot wrong. She is gonna be, I think she's going to be amazing in it, and I think we're really going to love her. And I'm wondering what connection she has with Lando, because judging by the scenes that they show, she seems to be with Lando, and I wonder is she a love interest, or could she be his sister, or is she just like a gang member, just someone who hangs out with him and kind of goes along on all these scams and all these deals with him. So I'm dying to see that. The other thing was Paul Bettany, isn't it? Bethany. I had to write things down because, you know, sometimes I forget. Oh yeah, Paul Bettany is playing a character called Dryden Voss, and apparently he's a successful crime boss or crime lord. So I'm thinking that bar that they show us in the trailer, that kind of cantina, which I love the look of, with the beautiful lady in the very strange kind of chainmail gold gown, and she's singing. I'm thinking that is his bar, if he's a successful crime boss, just like the way Jabba had his whole palace and his Salem barge with a bar and everything on it. So I think that Dryden Voss is the owner of that, and of course he would have a beautiful lady in a gold gown, or maybe Haitian smelt gown, maybe another little reference from The Last Jedi. I always wonder if that's what the golden dice are made from, is Haitian smelt. Like Rose's yin yang necklace that she had, so that would indicate a great deal of wealth if you had something like that. So I think yes, he owns that. And I don't know why they end up there, and I see why they end up there. That'll be interesting. I'm also hoping that we're going to see Jabba show up in this film. I can't see how he couldn't, since he seemed to have such a connection with Han Solo over the years in the original trilogy, that Jabba has to be in this movie as well. And in that case, does that mean Tatooine will make an appearance again? We'll be back in Tunisia maybe? Because there is a setting there that looked desert-like, but it's by an ocean, so it can't be Tatooine. I don't know what it is. Oh, the other thing about Dryden Voss, is there a connection between him and Quinlan Voss, that crazy mad Jedi from the Clone Wars? I'm wondering if there's a connection between the two. Possibly not. Maybe they just use the name, I don't know, because it's more familiar to people, and because we're also into Star Wars and it just makes it easier for us to connect to it. I don't know. But it would be really cool if Quinlan and Dryden Voss are actually connected. Possibly, maybe father, son, brothers. I don't know. I honestly don't know. So, but that just occurred to me when I heard his name. So we now know in this movie that there's a female droid, and you can see her in the scene with Emilia Clarke when she is walking off. Is it the Falcon? I don't know. She's walking. I didn't actually look to see what she's walking off. And she's wearing that beautiful costume, that long red kind of cape, and what looks like kind of a silvery bodice underneath. A little bit kind of Phasma-like, the look of it. And she has this droid with her. We now know that that's a female droid named L337, and is voiced by, Phoebe Waller-Bridge. I always forget these names, especially when they've got these crazy double barrel names, which I don't know what I'm saying that for, because I have a double barrel name. So she's voicing this droid. I think it's really cool that we've got a female droid coming into this before. We only ever once, I think, heard a female droid, and that was actually on Bespin, if I believe, when C-3PO paid a compliment to another droid who was identical to him, and she said something to him in another language. Basically, she didn't like being complimented by him, and I think that was the only time we ever saw a female droid. So I'm really delighted that we've got a female droid showing up in this one, and I'm dying to see if she'll have that. Will she be like C-3PO and be very kind of well-behaved and very mathematical and very clinical, very Sheldon Cooperish? Or will she be more like, oh my god, his name has gone out of my head. How bad is that? Oh, from Rogue One. It's gone out of my head. Alan Tudyk's character. Oh, how could I forget that? I can even see it in K2... Oh my god, I can't remember. I hate when I go blank. Oh, K2SO9, K29S, oh my god, it's gone. Well, you know what I mean. Oh, I'm so pissed at myself not being able to remember that. But I'm wondering if she'd be more like him, kind of this dry, sarcastic wit the whole way through it. Is this where the hatred from Han came from for these droids, that he couldn't stand C-3PO. He really couldn't. Every time C-3PO would talk, you could just see C-3PO's voice grating on him, and I'm wondering if she is the reason that he is like that she has done that to him, and made him that way. The great thing we're seeing in this film is, I think, Well, you can see lots of adventure. I think the plot of this film is going to be that Kessel Run. I think this movie is going to revolve around that. I get the impression that Beckett is pulling together a crew to pull off the biggest heist ever, and that's going to be the Kessel Run. And of course we're going to get to see Han do the Kessel Run in less than 12 parsecs, which is something that we've all really wanted to see. And if Disney didn't embrace that, then oh my god, are they walking around with their eyes closed? So no, I think that they will definitely embrace that, and I think that's going to be the central plot of this entire story, and about all these other outlaws that are brought together. We can kind of see in the movie, when you see Kira in her gowns and that this is a lady who's quite well to do. You see her as well in that bar, and she really is stunning in it, Emilia Clarke. I love the dark hair on her, it's gorgeous. And she looks like a lady who has been quite successful and done quite well. I don't know if she's royalty. Looking at her capes and that, it looks like she could be. I don't know. And then Lando, of course, he got in capes. So it looks like these two characters go off and make something of their lives and clean their act up a bit. But Han never did. Han stayed the crazy outlaw and continued on with the Millennium Falcon, and then ended up meeting with Luke. The other thing we're going to want to see in this film is how Han and Chewie meet. And it's been explained in some books over the years, but I don't think Disney are really paying they're not really paying much attention to any of that. I don't know why. I don't know why they draw some inspiration from that, but they seem to want to create something completely new. And so they may not go with how Han helped the Wookiees and how he ended up meeting Chewie. It could be just something completely different. But it is going to be fun to see kind of a young Chewie and a young Han and see how they work together. And the other thing I'm dying to see is how Alden plays this role as Han. Is he going to put a new spin on it, which he kind of would have to put a little bit of a new spin on it, or is he going to pick up and have some of the mannerisms of Harrison Ford? And you kind of can see it in the trailer here and there, not so much with his voice, but with the way he looks and the way he stands. In that scene when he's talking to Kira and she says, I think I'm the only one who knows who you really are. I love her voice. Who you really are. And he goes, what's that? And the way he says it is very Harrison Fordish, very Han Solo. Not his voice, but his stance, the way he's standing. And of course, when she says that, and he says, what's that? It's like a million voices suddenly cried out, scoundrel! That's what we're all saying when we hear that bit. Everybody is screaming, scoundrel. And I think he really is going to be the ultimate scoundrel in this. He's going to be such a brat, but he's also, I think he's going to be really arrogant and really cocky as well. And he learns from that, because later in the stories, of course, in the original trilogy, he is quite arrogant but not quite as bad. And he also says to Luke, don't get cocky, kid, as if he knows from life experience it's not always the best way to go. So yeah, I think it's going to be a very fun movie. I'm definitely a lot more excited about it now. I think I've kind of covered everything I wanted to cover in it. Oh, this, I didn't, sorry. What about this very unusual looking, almost Revan-like character that we see at one point, and he seems to have a whole crew of these bandits, and I think he's a bandit. He's obviously a bandit himself, and I was wondering if he's also a smuggler, because I would imagine that it's a death, you know, or a cutthroat kind of business to be in Star Wars, in the galaxy. And he looks pretty treacherous, and we see him, I think it's him again, fighting on top of what looks like a train with Han Solo. And he has what at first looks a bit like a lightsaber, but I don't think it is one of these energy field type weapons, a bit like what the First Order has when they're fighting Finn in The Force Awakens when he has a lightsaber, a bit like that. So I don't think it's actually a saber, unless of course they are going to bring Quinlan Vos into it, who looks like a bit of a badass, but I doubt it. I doubt that very much, but he looks like a really interesting character. I'm dying to see what he's all about. He's a bit of a mystery in the trailer. We know nothing about that character yet, and he seems to have a whole crew of really crazy looking bandits with him in the background, and it looks like, I think there's an Irish actor, I think his name is Ray Whelan, in this movie playing a marauder. So I don't know who he's playing, whether it's a very tiny role or a bigger thing, but I think it's pretty cool that we got an Irish actor in there. It's kind of cool. So I think that's it. I think I've kind of covered everything. Oh no, I haven't. every time I think of something else. How are we feeling about that bit at the end of the trailer where they show the Millennium Falcon coming through a maelstrom, that big kind of cloudy black hole, and you see the Star Destroyer coming through it as well, and the TIE Fighters. And the TIE Fighters look a little different. Am I right in that? Because when I looked at the trailer, I thought they don't look the same as they normally do. In fact, the cockpit looks to be further over on the right side of the TIE Fighter, and the wing on the other side. It looks like the cannons are actually not in front of the cockpit but to the left of it, so it's longer on one side, which I've never seen before. And I kind of wondered, would we have new TIE Fighters in this? Should we not be kind of using the same designs that were in New Hope? You can clearly see in some of the scenes of the trailer for Solo that the technology looks very similar to that of A New Hope, especially when they're in that speeder. You can see different things on the dash on it that are very similar. So yeah, it's really interesting. But I'm assuming that's the Kessel Run. That's them trying to get out of there. And then just when they think they're out of there, that huge, very strange octopus-like creature appears. So I really am looking forward to seeing where this is going to go. And I am pretty excited about it now. New characters, new fun scenes, new fun planets, universes, whatever, for us to enjoy. And I'm just going to take this one on the chin. I'm not going to think about it too much, and I'm just going to go and have fun with it. If you've seen the trailers and you have maybe have other ideas of what you think is happening, or maybe you have an idea of who you think that weird looking bandit is that looks kind of like Revan with the crazy black hair, comment below. Let me know what you think. Are you excited about it now, haven't seen the trailer, or are you thinking, oh god, I'm not looking forward to this? But just comment below, let me know what you think, where you think it's going to go. Do you think Alden's going to do a great job as Han? I'm certainly a little bit more confident now after seeing him in the trailer. I like the look of it, and as always, I love Chewie, so I can't wait to see Chewie again. I think the only thing that I feel weird about in this movie is that there may be no Jedis. No lightsaber fights. And that's always hard for me because I'm just so obsessed with lightsabers and I love my lightsabers. So, oh, and I guess, can Vader make an appearance in this movie? He could. Let's face it, we've got a Star Destroyer there. And at one stage we see Han, what looks like he's enrolling to be part of the Empire because they're asking him what job he wants to do. And I was thinking, could we see Vader? We could see Vader in this film. So now I think I've covered everything. So I guess, guys, that's it from me for this week. I think I might bring you that art video next week. We'll see. Maybe something else will happen. Something crazy. And I'll want to do a video on that. So don't forget, comment below and let me know what you think of the trailers, where you think it's going to go. Are you excited? Are you a bit bummed? Do you think Ron Howard's going to do a good job? Will they have kept anything that Miller and Lord did? Which I'm kind of hoping maybe they will. And do you think it's going to be a crazy comedy, or do you think it'll have some nice serious undertones in it as well? I kind of hope it will. So that's it for me, guys. Don't forget, if you're new to my channel, to click that little button below and subscribe and come and join me in the Force, and we can rule the galaxy together. You can also follow me on Twitter and Facebook and Instagram, which you saw in my new intro. And my website is coming soon, www.degababe.com, but I'm still working on it because I want it to be really awesome for you guys. So that's it for me. Have a great week, guys, and may the Force be with you. Bye!